Hey yo, what's going on guys? It's your boy Scatinio and welcome to my review of the Sony E3 2015 press conference which happened in the early hours of this morning. And let me just say, in my opinion, Sony won it hands down. Don't get me wrong, Microsoft overall had a good press conference, although I was slightly underwhelmed by what they shown, thinking that they kind of played it safe, other than the whole backwards compatibility thing, which was amazing. But I'm sorry, but Microsoft just could not compete with what Sony showed. I'm not going to go into everything because they did show a lot, so let's just say, they showed indie games, they showed VR stuff. I'm not going to go into that because I don't give a shit about VR. Vita was only briefly sort of shown, so I'm not going into that. We already know they're not making big AAA games for Vita anymore. They've already said that. But let me talk about the stuff that is interesting. Right, first off, straight out the gate, The Last Guardian. The Last Guardian was there. PS4, it looked amazing. It really did, and it looked like what we'd already seen. I think, I mean, I was concerned with all the delays, everything that was happening, and we already know it was being transitioned over to PS4. But I think a lot of people might think it might be like an entirely different game. Maybe that concept that they were working on just didn't work. But no, it was the same thing, the same protagonist, the same cat dog thing, bird dog or whatever you want to call it, same thing. Gameplay looked familiar. I'm super excited for The Last Guardian. I really am. It looked beautiful. It looks like my kind of game. It really does. Coming out in 2016. Now, what is interesting is they didn't actually put like a time frame on that 2016. I'm hoping they're not going to turn around and say the latter end of 2016. I mean, come on, guys, get this game out. It's a delay after delay after delay. You've finally shown it. If they can bring this game out early 2016 by March, fantastic, amazing. But obviously what they'll be thinking is they've already got other like PS4 exclusive titles coming out around that period, like Uncharted 4. But if they can get it out in the early part of 2016, that's great. I think otherwise, what would be the point in showing it like another 18 months in advance if it's not going to come out until like Christmas of 2016, but it is what it is. But The Last Guardian, it is coming. We know that now. I'd be very surprised if it gets any more delays. I really would. I mean, I don't think they could afford it for them to keep delaying the game anymore. Now that especially it's been announced for PS4, but that was amazing. They closed the show with Uncharted 4, which looked phenomenal. I don't really want to see any more gameplay, really, of Uncharted 4. I know it looks amazing. I know it's going to be amazing. Other than the multiplayer beta, then, I'm good. That's a day one purchase, hands down, you know what I mean? We've got the Uncharted collection, obviously, coming in October, so that's going to hold me off. But Uncharted 4, the way, they closed it with a fantastic sequence. Yeah, hands down, amazing. Now let's go into some of the surprises. Final Fantasy VII, the remake, is happening, guys. Final Fantasy VII, this sacred game that everybody's been asking for to be remade for years and years, is finally coming to the PlayStation 4 first. Now, there was no mention that it was going to be exclusive to the PlayStation 4. Might be a timed exclusive. Well, yeah, obviously, PlayStation 4 first. But it's not exclusive, which is quite interesting, considering obviously Final Fantasy VII only come out on PlayStation platforms, but it did come to PC, so maybe, I don't think there was any mention of Xbox One. Maybe that will be announced later on at Square's conference later on tonight, but maybe coming to PlayStation 4 first, but then maybe it's just a PC game. I don't know. I'm not too sure how they're going to go about that. And, I mean, to be honest, I'm excited about Final Fantasy VII, the remake, the fact that they're remaking it. However, they only shown a CG trailer, right? It was a really well done CG trailer. It got everyone excited to say the game was coming, but I think unless like they show some actual gameplay, like they show an extended look at it later on tonight at the press conference for Square Enix, and they show some actual gameplay. I really can't see this game coming out before 2017, unfortunately. I really don't. I think if they don't show anything else tonight, I don't think we're going to get another look at this until next year's E3. And maybe this year was sort of kind of just like, yeah, the game is coming, now let us fucking work on it, and then we'll get it out there when we basically can. You know what I mean? So I think, yeah, they'll show the CG trailer, and then we won't hear nothing until maybe Tokyo Game Show or E3 next year. I'm thinking E3 next year, and that's when they'll show gameplay and give us a release date of early 2017. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But I don't think there's no way this game's coming out 2016. Absolutely no way. But, you know, that said, the interweb's absolutely crazy. Final Fantasy VII Remake is finally happening. But then the big one, the biggest one for me is the fact that Shenmue 3 is finally being made. You know, right. The thing about Shenmue for me is I'm not a fan of Shenmue. I tried to play the first one. I tried to play the second one. I couldn't really get into it. I really couldn't. I tried, you know, played them on Dreamcast. I couldn't really get into it. My friend from high school was like, he's absolutely hyped for the Shenmue games, and he's been waiting years for Shenmue 3 to come out. But I'm excited for it, of course. The fact that, you know, it's coming to PlayStation 4 and PC. But what's interesting is Shenmue 3 has been announced through Kickstarter. So if it was a crowdfunded game, so if it got funded, it'll go into full-on development, coming out on PlayStation 4, PC. I'm now making this video. Obviously, I didn't make it straight after the conference because I went to bed. The game has been funded. They asked for 2 million, and I think it's like at 2,100,000 right now. So the game's been funded. The game's coming. We know that. I think what's interesting, what is really interesting for me, is the fact that first of all, Sony brought them out at their conference, but yet Sony aren't funding the game. Sony have brought them out to announce the Kickstarter, which I find that, like, it, you know, if Sony was passionate about this game and they believed in this game, why wouldn't they fund it and publish it? You know what I mean? Why wouldn't they do that? So I find that quite interesting in itself. Like, you know, $2 million they're asking for. I'm sure Sony could have invested that themselves, but instead they kind of went the crowdfunding route. I find that quite interesting. Also on the Kickstarter page, there's no mention of Xbox platform. It's just PC and PlayStation 4. It's only mentioned. And the reason I find that quite interesting, and a really big like scoop for Sony, is the fact that, for those of you who don't know or don't remember, Shenmue 2 actually come out on the original Xbox. It comes to Dreamcast and then it come out on the original Xbox. It's never been on a PlayStation platform before. And if you remember when like they were doing the Sonic All Stars racing games, I think they had Ryo, the main character of Shenmue, in them games as like a character, but it was exclusive to the Xbox version. You know what I mean? And that was recent, like Xbox 360, like just a few years ago. So the fact that there's no mention at all of Xbox shows that this may, you know, if this is a console exclusive for PS4, that is an absolutely major scoop for Sony. Major scoop for Sony. You know, the fact that it's going to shift consoles, it really will, because I think a lot of people who've been waiting for this game, all them people who've been waiting for this game who don't own a PS4 will go out and buy a PS4 just for this game. That's just the way it is. So I do find that quite interesting, and I think the fact that no Xbox platforms have been announced, or even any stretch goals on the Kickstarter page to say if we hit like 5 million, we'll bring the game to Xbox One as well. You know, none of that has even been sort of mentioned. So maybe it's something they're waiting on. Maybe they were waiting on for the game to get funded. Maybe they wanted to just give Sony that platform to announce a game, to say it's coming to PS4, and then obviously later down the line they'll say an Xbox One as well. we don't know. But at this point, it does look like console exclusivity to the PlayStation 4, which is just fantastic. But obviously, that's only going to start going into full-on development like from now or whenever, within the next couple of months. So that game won't be coming out. I mean, it has got a tentative release date anyway for December 2017, which is like 2.5 years away, which is fine, okay, but we know the game's coming now. That's all we need to know. Like I said, I wasn't a big fan of the Shenmue series anyway. I just couldn't get into it, but with the announcement of Shenmue 3, it is something I would like to look into, getting into again in the build-up for it, just to see if it, can sort of capture my interest now. What I would like to see is them release Shenmue 1 and 2 through the PlayStation Network, as a digital download, release it with trophies, just so people who aren't familiar with the series, no point just releasing Shenmue 3 as it is, get people familiar with the series, release the back catalogue through the PlayStation Network, get people playing it, get people interested in it, in the story. I mean, it's been like, 15 years since like the second game come out, something like that, so yeah, they really need to get on that. But I think that's an absolutely major announcement for Sony. It's just fantastic. I mean, like I say, Microsoft had a good showing, yeah, they really did. But I was just underwhelmed. I mean, I'm sorry, like, your Gears of War, you announced 2 Gears of War games. I'm sorry, but The Last Guardian, Final Fantasy VII, Shenmue 3, and Uncharted 4, plus Street Fighter 5, obviously, which is exclusive. I'm sorry, but you can't... Gears of War ain't competing with them, with that caliber of games. I'm sorry, they're just not. They're just really not. And I don't think any of Sony's exclusives, any of Microsoft exclusive games, I would pick over anything that Sony showed. Even Halo 5. I'm a fan of Halo, but if I'm having to choose between Halo 5 and Uncharted 4, I'm going Uncharted all day. You know what I mean? So, but that's just me. You may think different. Obviously, they didn't even speak about PlayStation Now, which I think was a fantastic thing. They can't compete with it, basically. Sony can't compete PlayStation Now against, the backwards compatibility on the Xbox One. I've tried the backwards compatibility because I am in the Xbox preview program, and it worked. It worked fantastic. The games play well. There's only a really small library of games at the moment, and there was no physical disc games I could actually put in that I actually own anymore to try. But my 360 Xbox Live Arcade catalogue automatically showed up, so I was able to download Banjo-Kazooie, and I was actually playing some of that running on the Xbox One. And you can take screenshots, you can live stream it, which is fantastic. Sony cannot compete with that at this moment. I think PlayStation Now is dead. It really is. I mean, I've got no use for PlayStation Now. I'm not going to pay to rent a game I already own with it running and looking worse. You know what I mean? Because you're actually streaming the game, so it's laggy as hell. I am in the PlayStation Now beta, but like they've got rid of all the free games now, and now you're having to start paying. Even the free ones were laggy as hell. I tried to play Uncharted and it was laggy as hell. I don't want to, basically. So I'm sorry, but so that's the one thing Sony can't compete on, is the backwards compatibility. But everything else, it was killer. No Man's Sky, I'm not interested in that game at all. I'm sorry. I thought they finally shown some gameplay, and I thought it looked wank. That's all I'm saying. The game I really wanted to see and they didn't show was Rhyme. Remember Rhyme from last year on the PlayStation Experience? Whenever it was, it looked like a kind of Zelda game from what I can remember, like that, that kind of art style, like the Wind Waker art style, if I remember rightly. And I was quite surprised that never shown up anywhere in the conference. So I don't know what's happening with that game, but that was one of the games I was really looking forward to, was Rhyme. What else did they show? I think that was about it, to be honest. I mean, obviously, they come out and show like Assassin's Creed, not asked about Assassin's Creed. They show like some of the games. They shown Star Wars Battlefront, other sort of multi-platform games like that I'm not asked about. But I think the main ones The Last Guardian, Final Fantasy VII, Shenmue 3 and Uncharted 4 absolutely fucking killed it. Absolutely fucking killed it. Really did. So, well done, Sony. I know I've rambled on now for about 15 minutes, but yeah. I think it was a fantastic conference. It really was. I'm happy, I'm excited. Obviously, the only sort of letdown is nearly all the biggest games that they're shown are coming out from next year. They haven't got anything for this year, but, you know, don't get it twisted. They've still got all the third-party titles, so it's not like, you know, PS4's got no games coming out. Okay, maybe no major exclusives, but, you know, you're still going to be able to get your Fallouts, your Call of Duty. Oh, you know, they've now got the partnership with Call of Duty, but I'm not really asked about that. I think Call of Duty's had its day, and I think, you know, the sales are going to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. I think Microsoft got Call of Duty when it was in its heyday, and that was fantastic. So I really don't think this partnership is that good for Sony at this point. I may be proved wrong, especially if they can sort of reboot the series, but we'll see. But I'm going to end the video there, guys. Hope you all enjoyed it. As always, don't leave a comment in the comment section below, and please rate and subscribe. And that's it from me. I'm your boy Skatinio, and I'm out. Peace.